Lamar Jackson is mid. Hella mid. Okay? Yeah, I said it. Lamar Jackson, he's not him. Okay? What's good, YouTube? It is your boy, man, Rigbylogical, back again with another video. As you can see, man, from the first couple sentences, I believe that Lamar Jackson is mid, and it's this huge double standard of Lamar Jackson, sorry, that every time that the Ravens win, he gets all the praises. They start sucking him off. They get really, really wet when he does a spin move and make people fall. But every time that the Ravens lose, it's everybody else's fault but Lamar's fault, especially in the playoffs and really in the 2019 playoff when Lamar Jackson won MVP. The Ravens had the best record in the NFL, and they got embarrassed by the Tennessee Titans. And this whole ideal that he needs so many weapons can be easily debunked by quarterbacks who have very similar playing styles, such as Vic and Cam Newton, which we're going to bring up in today's video, man. But first, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like, comment, and subscribe button, man. We're at 246 subscribers. Really like at 3 subscribers because this is piggyback off my Madden channel. But if you're new here, welcome. I know this is a hot take, but this is my opinion, and we can debate in the comments, or I may make a reaction to it. Who knows? Okay, so back to the video, man. As you can see here, man, I'm comparing Lamar Jackson to 2004 Michael Vick and 2015 Cam Newton. Okay, as we know, with Michael Vick, he's going to have significantly less passing yards. First off, Vick was not good as a passer as either one of these guys, and number two, like, the game was so much different back then in the early 2000s. Really run heavy, and Vick, he was very run heavy, but when he did pass the ball, and you see with the other two, they're really tight end friendly. All right, they're very tight end friendly. In a moment, I'm going to show you like the best receivers. So Cam, be damn near have 4,000 yards. He had one less touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions, which is insane. Obviously, Lamar ran the ball a lot more. He's more of a dual threat. And he missed one game, so that's about 200, 300 yards. That's not really there. And I believe Cam played every single game, if I'm not mistaken. But their best receivers are tight ends. So again, this is 2004 Falcons, 2019 Ravens, and the 2015 Panthers. Okay, so starting with the Falcons, Pierce, he had 106 targets, but he didn't catch half of them. I mean, uncatchable drops or whatever. Only had 45 receptions, 575 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Age Crumbler, he had 74 targets, caught over more than half. 48 receptions, 774 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Led the team in yards and in touchdowns on the receiving side. And then Des White, he had 56 targets, caught over half with 30 receptions, 370 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And again, with Michael Vick having that run-heavy offense, he had Warren, Dunn, and another fullback, a running back fullback, and they were a really run-heavy team, and they went crazy that year. But with the Panthers, Greg Olsen had 124 targets, 1,100 yards, 77 receptions, and 7 touchdowns. That's insane. Like, I think in all 3 of those categories, all 4 of those categories, he was like top 10. As you can see, he was top 10 in all those categories. Age was top 10 within tight end, just in yards and receptions. And then Ted, again, average, besides like the 97 targets, the 700 yards and 44 receptions. I mean, it was okay. Most of the receptions that I'm guessing were just off the deep balls because they would run the ball very well, and then it would be over the top, right? And as you can see with Hollywood Brown, I mean, it's almost the same thing. But with the Ravens, Mark Andrews had 98 targets, 64 receptions, 852 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Led the team in all the categories. And then with Hollywood Brown, his rookie year, 46 receptions, 584 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And then Willie Snead, pretty mid, 321 and 5 touchdowns. And Mark Andrews was number 1 within tight ends in touchdowns, and top 5 in yards, and top 10 in receptions. So you have a borderline a top 10 tight end, and he made the Pro Bowl that year, and then he makes it like an All Pro like the next 2 years or something crazy like that. And it's important that we talk about this because, again, this ideal that Lamar can't win without weapons is debunked. Now, mind you, Cam made the Super Bowl that same year that he won the MVP. Vic was damn near a couple plays away from making a Super Bowl in 2004. And the philosophy with the Panthers, with the Falcons, even with the Ravens, is have your running quarterback, right? Have two good running backs, not too good, but two decent running backs. Which with the Falcons they had Warwick Dunn, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I'm sorry, but with the Panthers they had Jonathan Stewart and Mike Tolbert, both were Pro Bowls, and the Ravens had Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards, which again Mark Ingram had 1,000 yards, Gus Edwards 750 yards. Both of them could have been Pro Bowlers, but no, this idea that he needs a wide receiver one, he needs that 2016 Julio Jones, he needs that DeAndre Hopkins. It's very debunked. Right? It can be debunked again. Both players, Vic and Cam Newton, went to Vic with the NFC Championship game, and then Newton went to the actual Super Bowl. But you know what? Both of these dudes played poorly in those losses. And you know what? We don't sit around and blame the team's roster construction for that. No, we blame them. Although Vic was kind of close, I think, when I rewatched that game, we still blame Vic for playing terrible. So the Eagles won 27-10, but Vic, he went 11 for 24, 136 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns. No running touchdown, no passing touchdown. Bro got sacked 4 times, had a 46.5 rating. It's just terrible, right? Vic had a terrible game, right? So let me back it up. They weren't close. Vic played terrible, and we hold Vic against that. Against him, that bro, you played terrible in that game, and you need to get better. Now, obviously, Vic got arrested a couple years ago, and the Falcons weren't really that relevant after that year. Vic was just really entertaining and sold tickets. But even looking at Cam, let's look at Cam's stats. Cam went 18 for 41, 265 yards, 1 interception. Again, no touchdown. Got sacked 6 times. 55.4 rating. Right? This is terrible. He lost 2 fumbles, and one of the fumbles, that was his career-defining moment that he wussed out. Right? He didn't want to get hurt in the big game, and it just bothers me how much of a double standard it is, and no one wants to talk about it. So let's compare the 3 defenses. The 2004 Eagles, the 2015 Broncos, and 2019 Tennessee Titans. And first off, we got to go with the Broncos. The Broncos and the Panthers played in the 2016 Super Bowl, and the Broncos defense was deadly all year. They were top 10 in every category that you see right here, every major category. Passing yards, 3rd in touchdowns, number 1 in sacks, 9th in interceptions, which is pretty mid, but still 3rd in rushing yards, and 6th in rushing touchdowns. What exactly is Cam Newton supposed to do versus that? He's playing legit a top 3 defense at the time. Maybe number 1, right? Cam Newton, he struggled all game, and you could tell he didn't have the swagger that he had that game, and it was very noticeable. But what comes to the 04 Eagles, pretty mid in some areas. 12th in passing yards, 2nd best in passing touchdowns given up, 9th in interceptions, pretty mid, 2nd in sacks, 16th in rushing yards, and then 10th in rushing touchdowns, but 2nd in points per game. It just seems like they had a bend, don't break solid defense. And then, as y'all know, years before that, we had a really dominant defense. We went to the NFC Championship game 4 years in a row. We went 1-3. McNabb sucks, but the Eagles, again, possibly another top 10 defense. So now it's only let's look at the Titans, right? We lost to the Titans. Were the Titans better than the Eagles? Because the Broncos defense, I mean, I'm telling you right now, it is no question that they have the best defense at all three of these teams. But were the Titans better than the Eagles? And quite honestly, possibly not. The Titans are probably worse, the worst three defenses, the worst defense out of all three of these, being ninth worst in passing yards. That's bottom of the 10. Neither the Panthers or the Eagles didn't have bottom 10. Not Panthers, Eagles, Broncos and the Eagles. Sorry, 17th in passing yards, and neither the Broncos or the Eagles never went under 16. I mean, the lowest is 16th in rushing yards for the Eagles. There were 6 in interceptions, which is I think better than both of the Broncos and the Eagles. 14th in sacks, both top 10. 12th in rushing yards, again, both in top. Oh no, sorry, the Eagles were 16. I just said that. Sorry. Number 8 in rushing touchdowns, and then 12 at points per game. And yeah, I mean, they were probably a little worse than the Eagles. So I mean, but how did Lamar Jackson do in this game versus the Titans? I mean, did he do good? Did he do bad? Like, who is to blame for this? Now again, the Ravens had one of the more efficient running games that season, and they dominated in the running game with Lamar, Mark Ingram, and Gus Edwards. Lamar and Mark Ingram having 1,000 yards each, and then Gus Edwards just having about 750 yards around that area. But in the game versus the Tennessee Titans, his basic stats were just 31 for 59 attempts, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So that's problem number 1. Okay, why is Lamar Jackson dropping back 59 times when you have the best running game in the NFL? Now, granted, yes, I do realize that Mark Ingram was hurt that entire game. I mean, he, something wrong with I think his left knee or right knee or something like that. Bro was not healthy, but you still had Gus Edwards, and Gus Edwards only touched the ball 3 times. I don't believe he was hurt, but I remember Mark Ingram being hurt. Right here, I probably answered my own question if he was hurt or not. But even if he wasn't hurt, I mean, that old line was really run dominant, really good at run. You still had other running backs. I mean, come on now. But when you have the ball in your hands so many times, right? I mean, 59 dropbacks, attempts. 7 of them were drops, 13%. None of those were bad throws, 16.7%. And I think the drops and the bad throws, they go hand in hand. Sometimes he threw a bad pass and they just dropped because it was so wobbly. And then sometimes, they did just drop it. I mean, you get that sometimes. He was sacked 4 times. And he was pressured at a 12.7 rate. And granted, and mind you, the Ravens also won the time of possession battle, which is even crazier because, if you remember the Titans, they were running so much that whole game. You would have thought that the Titans just dominated them. But no, the Ravens had the ball more. And they kept trying to force him to do things. And you could say, come on, man, like, that's the coaching staff. But honestly, Lamar should have said something like, let's not do this. Like, this is not working. Like, we obviously strive off of running. And even early in the game, like, he was forcing bad throws. And I rewatched the game. He was just pretty mid. But the crazy part is that the whole season, the Ravens played pretty bad defenses. It was only one game that they played a really good defense. And how did he do, and who was the opponent? If you don't remember, the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots played in Week 9 at Baltimore. It was like the Ravens, I think it was the one and only Ravens game that was prime time at home in Baltimore. It was it was a cool game because they wore their black unis with the white pants. What they should have wore just all black. Could have been so cool with the Ravens, but whatever. Okay, so they played the Patriots. Obviously, they won that game. Lamar Jackson, he dropped back 23 times. Only had 1 touchdown, 16 carries, 61 yards, 2 touchdowns. Right. So the less that he's trying to pass, the more effective he is. I mean, the more effective that the team is, I should say. 0 drops, 4 bad throws, only sacked 1 time, and pressure at a 7.7 rate. Mark Ingram had 15 carries, 115 yards. Gus Edwards, 7 carries, 27 yards, 1 touchdown. And I know what you're thinking, why is Gus Edwards on here? Gus Edwards only touched the ball 3 times the first game. And, they didn't really give him a chance. Gus, I feel like if Gus Edwards was, because he was the running back 1 that divisional game, I think You know, if they just gave him a chance, I feel like he would have done a pretty good job because like the year before in 2018, Gus Edwards was the running back one essentially after Lamar took over the job, and he did really good. The second half of the 2018 season, and even in the game versus the Chargers, he did pretty decent. I just think they didn't give him a chance. But besides that, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's not too detailed. One day we'll have a deep documentary on why I think Lamar Jackson is mid. But this is just a quick little video, man. Why I think that 2019 season is Lamar Jackson's fault, and I'm not gonna say no one else to blame because the defense could have done a lot better. But a lot of things Lamar Jackson did is just like it's sort of like unacceptable, sort of, especially for the MVP standard, right? Like if you win MVP, no matter what year, like you're on this high standard, and I just think people they just forget about that. But if you like the video, man, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we are out, man. Peace.